Where are you from?
East Atlanta, Georgia.
What was it like growing up in East Atlanta?
It's fun. It was always live. It was always colorful. My dad was a hairdresser, and my mom was too, and he was a barber as well. So I grew up in like the Atlanta city culture, Freaknik, all of that. Like, so art, food, always having a good time, always barbecuing. So that's what it was like. It was full of life, and definitely played a standpoint of how I live my life now, man. Good time and creativity.
Nice. What kind of child were you? Like, what were you involved in? Was it cooking at an early age or sports? Like, what were you doing?
Really early age. I started cooking when I was 5, and just playing in the kitchen. I will say some of my first recipes weren't all that enticing, but I started composing dishes and stuff, and I could say about like 5 years old, I always say that I can date back to my earliest recipe. I was like 5 years old. I went in the kitchen. I got a strawberry drink, a banana, and some sliced bread. And I put the bread on the plate, put the banana on there, and poured the drink on top. And I handed it to my mama like, bon appetit. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, what'd you call it?
I just said, bon appetit, man. That's what I just gave it to her. Like, cause I had threw down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can remember her looking like, you know, what the hell is this? But like, she ain't never be like, nah, that ain't how that go. And you know, eventually I got good at it until I got great at it.
So did she start like encouraging you from that point, or was it like you had to figure it out on the way?
Well, I was encouraged because she didn't cook. Like, she didn't like to cook. So if we weren't gonna eat like something that she was grabbing on the way home, and then I began to be the one to make sure that, you know, we got some food going in the house. Like, she put the food in the house. Don't get me wrong, my mama fed her. Love you, mom. But I was the one thinking dinner. Because other than that, like, we was gonna be double stuffed burrito down and double cheeseburger. You know, it was 3 of us, so all 3 of us was gonna get them 2 small fries and that double cheeseburger. So, me wanting to play with flavors, me wanting to develop, you know, my repetition in cooking, it was just kind of like a natural thing. She bought the groceries, I cooked them.
So you kind of were not on fast food at an early age?
I mean, we ate fast food, but it was just like, you know, I was in the 3rd grade thinking about what I'm gonna cook when I go home. Like, wow. I don't know, I love being in the kitchen. I love experimenting with things. I love sauteing. Like, I love that, like, at a really early age. I think it was therapeutic for me, honestly, so. Yeah.
Were there any other cooks in the family? You mentioned your mom didn't cook, but did anybody else?
Yeah, my dad. My dad cooks. His brother cooks.
Okay.
My uncle Warren, he cooked. He was a chef in the Navy. My granddaddy, rest in peace, he could cook. Best fried chicken in the world, hands down, that I ever had. So I did come from a long line. My grandma cooked. So yeah, everybody pretty much threw down. And my dad was the one who always had the kickbacks in the 90s and was always on the grill, and that's where the vibe was going, and everybody had his food, and his food was so good, and everybody thought his food was so good, and he was so cool. He has a lot of charisma, like me, and, you know, outside of that, you know what I'm saying, I definitely became version 2.0.
Okay.
Of that, yeah, man. Good vibes, good food, you know, being that source of energy that sometimes everybody don't get all the time.
So what was your dad's favorite thing to cook? Like, what was he throwing down?
He just always on the grill. That man.
Oh, the grill?
Yeah. Like, and that's how we used to bond. Like, I'd be 8 or 9, like, we would go to the grocery store, Walmart, at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and like, we're gonna come back, and by that time it's like 3. We crank up the grill, we barbecue, and we listen to R&B jams and stuff like that. He was a really big R&B head, and so, lifestyle, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were really born into it, sound like.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so at what point do you feel like you just started getting better? Like, you moved from that adolescent stage to now, okay, like, I'm making things. What age were you?
I would say by the time I got to like middle school, late middle school, early high school, and you know, now what I know now is to identify what that was, is that like my technique grew. You know, I wanted to make fried rice. I wanted to make, I wanted to develop more of my skill set of it. I wanted to, have the perfect saute. I wanted to have like the perfect rice, the perfect like things like that. I naturally started wanting to explore that side more because I knew I could make food taste good, And now like the taking it serious as a profession, I would say started about 13, 14. I knew that's what I was going to do in my life, for sure. And I started culinary school. The high school that I went to, they offered a program through another like academy where you go to culinary school, and it was definitely set up like culinary school is in college. So I started that when I was 16, and I did that for 4 years, and I did really well. It was like second nature and stuff like that. I loved that class, and after that, I went to college for it, and we just shot through. I think I got I was working at Crystal's. My first job was Crystal's, but I worked there like during my journey through high school, and then after that, I think my first kitchen job was Outback Steakhouse. I started at the bottom of Toad Foes, salad chick, work your way up, then you get the saute and stuff like that, and that was like the wood fire grill and stuff like that, and it was thought of that, only the males could keep up with it because that's a high demand station, you got these $30, $40, $50 steaks that's on here, and you got like 50 of them on there at the same time, and they got to be all these different temps and stuff like that. It could be intimidating, and they wanted it to be intimidated, me to be intimidated by it, but it wasn't, and so it became someone that I was the best saute cook in there, like nice, efficient, but it was also that doubt that I couldn't do it that really makes me, that's the kill button for me. And I'm sure plenty of other people, but what they say, you want me to do something, tell me that I can't. And it was just one of those things until I worked my way up there, and this Outback journey followed me with my college culinary, and I grew a lot from that, because culinary school doesn't teach you how to cook. It teaches you the understanding of the fundamentals. Like there's like I'm pretty sure like it's step 1 A-B to being a painter. Like the equivalent to that in the chef world would be like the 5 mother sauces, hollandaise, bechamel, your knife cuts, whether it's a julienne or a bâtonnet cut, so on and so forth. Knowing the perfect temperature for sauteing, knowing like the technique for, a sous vide, a blanch, anything like that. Like it teaches you the basics, and then from there, I feel like you got it or you don't. With anything else, like these people can tell you what to do, they can show you the proper term for what you're doing, but is it really in your soul? So when it comes back out of you, it sticks.
So you mentioned that you started really chefing when you were at Outback, and you were taking classes in high school, right? Would you suggest like that route for somebody who is interested in food as young as you were? Like go ahead and go into like a Chili's or an Outback.
Yeah, you get your and get your foot in the door with that, because like nothing teaches you more in that profession other than experience. Okay. Because I mean there's a lot of people that went to culinary school, but you get a spot in one of these restaurants and they high volume, or things like that, or the stuff that they make is from scratch, not in a bag, and you actually have to have technique to get the proper product that you want, and sometimes they fold, man. So but at the same time, I know a lot of dope highly accredited chefs that never even seen a culinary school. They grew up, in the right things. That was just the environment I was in. I was around Crystals. I wish, like, I would have been around, like, some little 5-star joint, or, something, James Beard Award, certified type restaurant. I would have loved to grow up there, but even if you can't get in there, it's still skills that you can get from that you can carry anywhere. And shoot, the rest is on YouTube, so you ain't gotta go to culinary school. I'm saying, like, it ain't an ill if you don't, it ain't an ill if you do. Yeah.
So what is the process of applying to culinary school? Is it the same as college, like standard college? Like, how does that work? It is.
Yeah, so you apply, and then you do you get your recommendations, and you do a paper. I did some other, that was back in like 2012, so I ain't gonna sit here and cap and tell you everything I did, but it was definitely that type of format for application.
And so when you graduate from culinary school, do you receive a bachelor's degree in cooking, or how does that?
Business, I got a dual in culinary arts and hospitality. You can go back and get yours in your business administration, but that culinary one is a associate's degree. And then, of course, you can add other things, like you said, you have the hospitality standpoint, the business management standpoint, and you can go on and accredit those. But the typical one is a 2-year associate's degree, and you take it there, people use it. No restaurant or any like management job that I've taken has ever asked for my resume, which is crazy. Food Network asks for your resume before these restaurants will.
Really?
Yeah.
So before the Food Network hires someone to come on and be a chef, they really ask you for it?
Well, they want to see everything. Like, that was like, I can't,
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's an extensive process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever appear on the Food Network?
I can't say.
Oh, you're not right now. Okay.
I was just trying to relate. I wouldn't have said it in the first place, but I don't know. You never know. Might see, might know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the most like difficult class in culinary school where people are just like, because you know how in college it may be like, oh, well, I had to take calculus. Like, what is it for people in cooking?
Grammar J.
Grammar what?
Yeah, so it was just like, yeah, Grammar J, and it's just like the art of like, sculpting those fruit trays, we did ice sculpting in there. You learn the kind of like basis of making all the fruit stuff, the foie gras. That's when you start messing with the duck confit. That's when you start making those little meat jelly, those little jelly tarts and things like that. The stuff that our culture would see like, oh, that's the stuff like you see like, but
small plates.
Type things. But you also I learned how to, and what I learned at Garmin J is something that I use every day in my private chef gig now, like the way to set up for events, like having the like proper rundown game plan for yourself. I learned that in that class. The class itself wasn't too hard. The chef that I had in that class had really, really, really high expectations for me. And of course I was fortunate for it now, but I just couldn't get that. And I just like it didn't matter. Like, we would cook something and everybody knew mine was gonna taste the best. Like, we would do that and I would like really throw down. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like, even being in the climate that I was, you got all these people who, my classmates, they working for, like I call from chefs and restaurants and stuff like that. But even still, me, like, I'm shining and selling, but it was just like, it wasn't enough for him. Or even with like, and there would be people in there who I would say, it just wasn't getting it for them. And they were kind of having a hard time. And I felt like that's where whatever all that he was trying to do with me, I felt like it needed to be over there. They needed more of the attention and things like that. But one day in class, and it got ugly. I feel like I blew up. I didn't like cuss him and disrespect him or nothing like that, but like definitely shut down. Cause I'm like, hey, this bro, you picking on me, man. And it's just like, he explained that, what he saw in me, and he thought that I was special, and, he's on me like that because he believes in me. And if he didn't believe in me, I mean, in a nutshell, I'm paraphrasing, that he wouldn't say shit to me if he believed, So I took that with me. And, from there, when I got to, in the midst of life in culinary school through college, I started to develop the type of chef that I was. You know, because that's also different. I knew it was kind of more to what I wanted to do. I wanted to respect the art, but I knew I had more to give to the art. But I wanted to make sure that I knew the basics, so when I build on mine, everybody gets their respect. The forefathers of the culinary arts, and Flava P, and what at that time I didn't know everything. I was what I do now, but I knew I was about to shake something up. Yeah.
And so what would you say is like your specific chef specialty or genre for people who aren't familiar with the different types?
Well, a lot of times, sometimes people ask that question. It's like you get that. So like, what's your cooking style? You know what I'm saying? And I hate. I'm not gonna say I hate, but it gets redundant a lot of times when we get, because chefs actually, people just not too long ago started even wanting to know what the chef had to say. It was like, your food up, baby, that's your friend, y'all stay in the back. So now that we do get this kind of attention and things like that, I think people only know to ask, you know what I'm saying, so much because food is the forefront. So is it good, where you get it from, what you like to cook, things like that. So when I ask, of course I'm from the South, so I can cook greens, I can cook gravy, better than somebody auntie, of course. But I also like to use a lot of fusion. I love different ingredients from all over the world. I love Spanish ingredients, like I use tomatillos, like I do tomatillos in my collard greens, so like I do like a lot of Southern staples, but all the ingredients that I have loved through exploring different kind of cuisines, I like to blend them all together, because like those are some of the biggest masterpieces. Like, just because one thing doesn't come from, you could put cilantro in your fried chicken if you wanted to. You can, I do an East Atlanta tostada, you know what I'm saying? Instead of regular salsa, I do black-eyed peas and charred corn, like type salsa. Instead of the corn tortilla, I do a fried green tomato, and it's just blending both of those aspects, and it's flavors that you don't see regularly, that are out of sight, and that's what I do that for. So, and I don't know, I really like to make really beautiful food.
Yeah.
I am really flamboyant with my cooking style. I'll say that, like, it's about that for me. That's why I'm very fortunate that I'm able to live my dreams as a TV chef. And I'll go ahead and tell you, I represent Food and Lifestyle TV. It's a food and lifestyle network, and I have a show on there along with many of my other amazing co-chef brothers and sisters at the network. It drops January 1st, and you can subscribe to the Food and Lifestyle network, Netflix-based app, and you can watch the major Flava TV show. You can check my boy Chef Rob Bush. You can check out Chef Joe, Chef for the Stars. Rob, he running the city. That boy on some of everything. So it feels good to, be amongst people who are doing great things and be a part of that, and something that I wanted to do since I was 5 years old. I'm really doing it. I'm really doing it. So.
Yeah, I peeped the Food Lifestyle Network. Yeah, I peeped that. I saw that. When you were speaking, you mentioned how the chef has become popular to the forefront of the food industry. What do you think caused that? Because now you see everybody wants to be a chef. Like 10 years ago, that wasn't the thing. Now, it's one of, I would say, if you're looking on Instagram or social media, one of the most popular, I guess you would say, fields.
Yeah.
What do you think started that?
I blame love and hip hop.
Why you say that?
I don't know, I be talking junk, but at the same time I do feel that. It's just like when the Atlanta lifestyle started to get overly exploited, then there was a lot of avenues for a lot of things to kind of get in that light. But at the same time, social media, that's another one everybody blame, but at the same time, that's what it is. Like you got, you know, and you go on there, I got a homegirl, like she could drop a honey bun, and you know, recipe on TikTok, and it go viral, you know, and things like that. And a lot of people will see that, even though it's not easy. You know, it's not easy. It may look like it, but there's a lot of effort to actually doing that the way that it is. But it's just like looking like, look, this is what I can do. And then during the pandemic, a lot of people had a lot of time with themselves, a lot of time to discover, you know, things that they were good at. And then one way to get their money when the restaurant was down, sell plates. Everybody started slanging plates. Then you in the house, so everybody is chef. Everybody wanna, you know. And then the food industry was one, like, you know, people was getting laid off and stuff from jobs and stuff like that, and restaurants was open. And you know what I'm saying? Like, to go was booming. And so a lot of people got into that. And then I noticed a lot of people kind of pursued cooking during that time.
Yeah, I can definitely see the correlation.
Yeah.
So you've achieved a lot on your journey. Did you face any challenges during the process of becoming who you are?
Yeah. I want to say challenges. Yeah, definitely challenges. But the way that I look at them is just like going to the next level. Anytime that I went through something, I always elevated, and I'm so fortunate for that. Like, it's never been it's always like this. Like, the more I put in, the more I get out. I've put a lot into restaurants that I've had to close. I've had to fight my way or work twice as hard to get a certain result that a male counterpart has. Things like that. Like, but as far as like challenges and anything, it's always kind of been me versus me. Yeah. I'm pretty consistent in my progression and my purpose and my drive. So to be honest, a lot has not really gotten in my way. If I'm really gonna be honest, most of the time the only thing has ever got in my way is me. For real.
Yeah, it's usually like that. Would you say that there are a lot of people of color represented in your field? Or is there a good substantial?
Not as much as it should. But like, you can't even cry about that because we out here. Yeah. So to be honest, like, I can see 10 years from now, like, we dominating all of that. Yeah. To be honest, all right. It's people out here, that threshold has been open. Like, we coming out of all kind of avenues now, and like, definitely food and lifestyle is definitely finna show y'all that there's so many dynamics of it, and there's so many dope chefs who are so great in their own rights and things like that. So our time is coming. Of course, you see more of that, like, you know, you look at some of the already prominent like food networks and play on cable and stuff. You know, they usually not black, but they'll put a couple sprinkles in there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it's so much more to represent. You know, so it's coming.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the day. Even though now, I mean, y'all are definitely putting in work. The chefs that I have coming on, they're also see black folks. Yeah,
I know that's right.
So what's been? It seems like you've had a long journey and you've got to experience some awesome things. What's been the most memorable experience so far in your culinary journey?
The most memorable experience.
Where you were like, "Yo, this is it." Like,
it's like 2 weeks ago. Food and Lifestyle, they did a upfront presentation, and basically they collect about our work, and like they invite investors, they invite, you know, people, our sponsors, and like just a lot of family and people who've been coming to the shows and support the shows, and just do a presentation of what we got launching, and like clips and things like that. And to be able to have my mom, my grandmom, and my auntie in there, and it's just like, you know, they know I'm crazy Chef P. I'm putting to them, and for them to be able to see that on the screen, and then like have a crowd, hear a crowd do perform and sing my theme song, and it's just like that made me feel good because it's like that's what you wanted to do as well. As far as my art side, and this is something that is like grown, I feel like as I've been in my 30s, I've always loved art, but like I take this shit serious now, for real, for real. I had the idea of, because I love to paint, you know, just in my spare time, and I said, what if I could paint canvases that were safe enough, you know, as far as chemical wise, that I could put my food on top of it and like put on a whole display. So paint a canvas and then cook the food and plate it on there and create a whole masterpiece. You know, I got the, you know, that's crazy, or what, I ain't never heard of that, how that's gonna work, won't. And you know, just this, I started this like a year and a half ago. Just this year I've been in Sheen magazines about my art, like, you know, art galleries are like, they want me to cater their stuff, and like they want me to make an art piece for it, and then after that they want me to preserve it, and then they want to buy the art piece off of me. And I just got this gig last week, so you mean to tell me I started this last year or something? People's like, you know, and then this year it's just like magazine covers about this stuff. Like that's mind-blowing to me, and it's just like, you can do anything, and it's just not, you know, I just feel it and I push it. Man, anytime I genuinely feel something and I push it, and it's for me, like, it goes to the sun, and I'm just so fortunate because, like, this is wild. I can only imagine what it will grow into. I will start at the top of the year doing my, I do have my first art gallery. So the paintings that I've done, I call them flavor pieces now, because at first, you know, me being Flava P, man, so it was like P. Casso. But as I get big, I'm gonna get that man his name back. Even though there's a distinct difference, I'm not going into that. So instead of masterpieces, I like flavor pieces, but with the piece. Okay.
And you know how did you come up with Flava P?
It's just cause Flava Piece. Because one, of course, is the play off a masterpiece, but this is Flava's piece. When I paint, like, I love it. I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but like a part of my brain just shuts off, and like nothing or nobody around matters, and it's like expression. And I wish I could tell you that I had a method to what I do. Like, I really just let my hands and my imagination stroke. Spray, like whatever it is, I can have a genuine theme, and it's just therapy, and it brings me peace. Like, so that's where the peace comes, and it's a flavor piece.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
So what's your ultimate aspiration with your cooking businesses and all your art and all the ventures that you have going?
I want to be able to be the culinary entertainer that I am full time. I love my life. I love what I'm doing. I love that I'm doing cooking shows my way, where I cook, I rap, and I paint on the show. Who does that? Flava P does that. Flava P wants to do that every week full time. Like, that's my life. I want that Guy Fieri set up and go across the world trying different food, making them feel good about that. You know what I'm saying? Trying they shit and be like, oh, that has a nice crunch. Like, yeah, all that. Host game cooking shows and things like that. Junior, I love children. And like to have a show where you know, Flava P can influence the kids. I would love to do that. Like, host culinary competitions, things like that. I am an entertainer. I'm not really necessarily about instructing how to cook, more so I am as, look at how I do this.
Yeah.
You know.
For someone watching this who aspires to do what you do, what advice would you have for them?
If you ain't growing, You better start growing. And when you start growing, never stop growing. It's about elevating yourself and being consistent. It's like, I mean, shit, the same thing with being, like, everybody wants to reach a high level of success. Yeah, like, I ain't saying I'm being where I want to be, but I know that I'm in a great place, and I didn't get here by doing the normal. Like, you gotta work hard, you gotta study. Even when you feel like, hey, they not fucking with me, you still need to go, because guess what? You fucking with you, and the next level you need to be up here. So never get stagnant. I don't know, I'm really big on that. If I don't feel like I'm growing, they're like, oh, I get iffy, I get an attitude. If I feel like something's stagnant, I'm like, what I gotta do? But in the event of staying consistent and doing that, you also have to find that balance of taking care of yourself too, and not burning yourself out. Because it's easy to do that. You know, sometimes, like, I had to make myself not feel bad about me resting. You know what I'm saying? Because I would get in there, Kobe ain't rest, Oprah don't rest, Diddy don't rest. Like, this is where you are. This is this is the type of stature that you're destined to be. And I could psych myself out taking time for myself as time that I take away from what I know is my divine purpose. I know that I'm supposed to be a very high influential person for the world. I know I have a message. I know I have a gift. And sometimes making sure that, I get in my feelings about that a lot, but you have to rest, because then even if you're magic, that's where that magic comes from, you being whole. If you is dispersing it out, you're just shooting. And sometimes that works too, but it ain't happiness attached to it. And I need all this to do like this. So to sum all of that up, take care of yourself, take care of your mental state, and continue to create and continue to grow. Study, study, study. Practice, practice, practice. And like, even now, like, even if I'm not about to do a culinary competition, I always go home and study like I got one next week, or like I got to do things like that. Never get out of that concept of growing or knowing a new skill. And for real, that's all you gotta do.